Deuteronomy chapter 28. We're going to pick up 32 through 48. Deuteronomy 28, verses 32 through 48.
Your sons and your daughters shall be given unto other people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in your hand.
Now let's just think about that for a minute. All of us have, I'm sure, seen the pictures of the slave trade, the auction, and the look on especially the mothers' faces when their children were being sold away. And if you think about yourself, those of us who have children, can you imagine seeing someone take your child off, never to see them again, as slaves at that? Don't know what's going to happen to them. So that it says, your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there was one picture that I came across. The woman had been sold, and then they put the children on the auction block, and she prayed and begged her master, her future master, to buy her children too, and he kicked her like a dog, and of course didn't. That picture has always stuck in my mind, thinking whoever this happened to had to have done some very bad things. This just don't happen to normal people. They had to do something horrific for this to happen to them. And the more I got into the scriptures, the more I realized, yeah, we did some horrific stuff. And this was just punishment. So, okay. Verse 33, sister.
The fruit of your land and all your labor shall a nation which you know not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always.
Now think about that one. The fruit of this land, we tilled, we plowed, we harvested, and they gave us the scraps to eat. Okay, go ahead, sister. But you shall, after all of that, you're going to work for them for nothing, and you shall only be oppressed and crushed always.
So that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. Yahweh shall smite you in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot unto the top of your head. Yahweh shall bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone.
Now, we've been under captivity. Even when we were in our own land, we were captives, right? But we knew everything about Africa, everything about what is now called the Middle East, and everything that is now called the southern portion of Europe, right? The barbaric lands, we didn't know too much about. But Iran, Iraq, which was called Persia at that time, Assyria, Lebanon, all of that stuff, Greece, Italy, all of that, Spain, we knew all about those countries. And a lot of our people, even in the New Testament time, they still living in that area. Still living over there. So even though we have been in captivity and we knew all about the known land, we never knew about America because it was called the New World. Not because it wasn't inhabited. It had been inhabited, but we didn't know anything about it. Not a thing about it, because our people, to my knowledge, never traveled that far. Right? Now, maybe they had, but this was considered the New World, and this is where they brought the slaves.
I have a quick question. Do you know anything about the lineage of the Native Americans that were here?
Well, research, they were Russians, because remember, the Bering Strait is what connects Russia to the Alaska, Hawaii area. So that's where they all came from. And when you really look at the true Indians and look at those Russians, they look so much alike. Or the Eastern Europeans, they look a lot alike.
Okay. Verse 37. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, where Yahweh shall lead you.
And isn't that true? An astonishment, shocked. People are still shocked at the things they see us do and or say. You know, how we act, how we dress. It's just amazing to me. Verse, what verse are you?
38.
Okay.
You shall carry much seed out into the field and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them.
Now, in this case, the locusts and the worms, those are the great armies that Yahweh has sent against us. So it's really talking about people, the nations, and not so much the locusts, period.
Actual.
Right, exactly.
40. You shall have olive trees throughout all your coasts, but you shall not anoint yourself with the oil, for your olive oil shall cast his fruit. You shall beget sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All the trees and fruit of your land shall the locust consume. 43. The stranger that is within you shall get up above you very high, and you shall come down very low. And he shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you and overtake you, till you be destroyed, because you hearkened not unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you. And
he shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. What do we have?
Nothing.
Homes, cars, clothes. What do we have? Food that we don't borrow and pay interest on. And during the time of sharecropping, they would borrow until the so-called crop came in. And when the crop came in, time to pay, they paid everything back and still owed. Isn't that some stuff? And when you think about the usury that is here today, when you think about it, you go get a credit card, and it could be up to 32% interest on that card. You just like a house, you're never paying the principal. All you're paying is the interest. So you're a homegrown slave. You are forever in their debt. So one of the laws is we should not deal with usury. But this system is a usury system.
Another thing is that talking about like how they'll overtake us until we be destroyed. I feel like, but that's
when they began to move all the manufacturing overseas and import the Hispanics to do the menial work, in the fields and all that stuff. That was it for our people. Because the masses of us could not go and get a higher level degree. That was Marcus, what is his name? W.E.B. Du Bois called it the talented tenth. That's all it's ever been, is a tenth of us who have been able to even be educated to get a halfway decent job. The 90% of us, we were in manufacturing and we were making the cars and the refrigerators. When that moved away, in order to have a decent living, though they had those jobs, my parents, right? When that stuff moved away, what were the offspring going to do? So at the same time that all moved out, what did the Gentiles move in? Drugs and alcohol. And you see the result. It's horrible. Okay. But it's the curse. That's what you got to remember. They don't have nothing to do with it. They are doing exactly as Yahweh has predicted that they would to our people.
And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever.
How long?
Forever.
Forever. These are signs and for a wonder upon your seed forever, until this whole curse is over. Go ahead, sister.
Because you serve not Yahweh your Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies, which Yahweh shall send against you in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he has destroyed you.
Wow. And that is the entire truth. And that yoke of iron upon our neck, it's invisible, but it's still there. It's still there.
Yeah.
So we are suffering for what our forefathers has done.
Yep. Because our forefathers were the ones that initially created this environment, right? And then we were blinded. And so we were blinded. You got to remember, we lived in Africa for almost 1,000 years before the slave trade started. That's a long time to not know who you are, where you come from. So
What were we doing?
we were doing whatever the Africans were doing. We were living in their society, and a lot of us have forgotten our heritage. So as you get down into the generations that were literally taken over here, you know, there was that semblance of knowledge. We used to sing the slave song, the Negro spirituals, what they call them now, right? We sung about our history and our environment in Jerusalem and the surrounding cities, but that was pretty much all that we had left. And now it's come down to where we still don't know. We've been taught by the masters, right? So now we have no knowledge of the law of our Father. So now we're still committing the same atrocities without knowledge that our fathers committed with knowledge. Is that? I tell you. Okay, so you finished 48.
I wanted to say one thing about the yoke thing. Documentary 13th. Have y'all seen 13th?
Yes.
Okay, cool. 13th is about the 13th Amendment and how basically everybody in jail is black people, and America has so many people in jail. Anyway, so
That was still slavery.
yeah,
Right.
exactly,
Still
and now we're
slaves.
still in slavery. So people understand that we have like 1/4 of prisoners in the world are in America. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think people understand the gravity of it.
90% of those are black folks.
Yeah. So
You know, I like to, I don't mean to cut you off, but I like to liken it to the way that we live presently is like when we had free blacks during slavery. There was a certain amount of free blacks. We're just free blacks.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
then the ones that are incarcerated are the slaves. So we still are under the slave system, and we just happen to be the free
What a
ones.
way to look
Exactly.
at it.
We're just the
That's a
free
different
ones.
way.
Yes.
Because
Right.
and just like during slavery, you had to move just the wrong way. Guess
Yes.
what?
You in there.
Exactly. And
Remember
that,
the chain gang?
Yes. And that goes right back to the whole concept of we're only doing as well as the person
They
works
let
off.
you, and as well as they allow you.
Exactly. And that's what I was
And they're
telling.
only going to allow a certain percent, no more than 10%.
Yeah.
Led us and guided us and told us right from wrong. We made so many mistakes to where he couldn't do away with us because we his children. He punished us. And when you think about it from your own family perspective, that's what happened to us. So Yahweh has told us what we need to do. He's given us the secrets that most people, because he said in verse 2, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. No other nation has ever heard his voice, none but ours. And it's still that same way to this day. Hallelujah. So we need to make sure that we study his word so that we can know of him and know how we faltered and how we came to be where we are, right? The Gentiles can't save us. They're in control and they can't even save themselves.